Welcome to Interface Implementation Part 2. And we're just going to kick right off where we started in Part 1. In Part 1, we created an interface, and then we implicitly inherited that interface, and we implicitly implemented it. And notice, if you remember, once we marked our class as inheriting from Interface 1, we can put our cursor anywhere in the name of Interface 1, right-click, and implement. And we did an implicit implementation. And so we have a do this and a do that, and that is in keeping with our interface that requires a do this and a do that. Well, now we want to inherit from another interface in our class, and so let's go create an interface, and we will right click, add new item, and then we will click on interface, and we'll take interface 2 by default, like that name, easy to keep up with. And you're going to notice in interface 2 is calling for a method called do this. Now, some of you are saying, hey, wait a minute. If you look in interface 1, there's a do this. And if you look in interface 2, there's a do this. So, first of all, something very interesting here. If I apply interface 2, all right, and if I try to compile this, something interesting happens. It compiles up, but I'm never going to call this interface 2 do this because my implicit implementation is always going to see this interface 1 do this, right? Now, how are we going to get around that? Well, the way we're going to get around it is with an explicit implementation, because I can't do this. I can't just copy this do this and put it in there and have two of them, right? Because now, if I try to compile, it's going to say, wait a minute, dude, you got two of these things, right? And it's going to see, and it's going to give me squigglies, and it's going to say, wait a minute, you can't do that. Well, I want you to notice what we can do. On an explicit implementation, I am going to remove public from this, okay? And I'm going to call interface 2 dot do this. And I didn't have to click that, but there we go. All right. Now, if I try to compile, everybody's happy, everybody's cool, everything works. Now, here's what this is going to get me, though. What I want to do is I want to copy in some functionality here. Okay. And I'm going to call system.windows.forms.messagebox.show, and we'll do this. Okay, and then we're going to copy this to right up here. One moment, please. So I'll copy this, and I will tell this that interface 1 do this got called. This is coming from 1. We can see this is 2. I want you to notice the subtle difference. This one is not public. So when we instantiate an object off of this class, through our object variable, we will not see this one. We'll only see these two publics. So we'll be looking at the do this for class 1, the do that for class 1. Then I'll show you how we'll see the do this for 2. Okay, so at this point, if we start up, we can compile because we're A-OK with everything. And so now let's go into our code and look how we're going to deal with this. Okay, so let's start off here by, if we create a type of class 1 and call it C and set it equal to a new instance of class 1. And as soon as I hit C and the period, notice I'm getting do that, that's class 1 do that, and I'm getting do this, class 1 do this, okay? Well, let me go back and let's do the do this here, all right? And so if I execute this and I run it, we should see that interface 1 do this was called. So interface 1 do this was called. Now, how do I get interface 2 to show up? All right. Well, what I'm going to have to do is come down here and I'm going to just call interface 2. All right. And I'll create a type of interface 2. The variable will be I, and I will set that equal to C, okay, which is based on class 1. Then if I drop down, hit my I object, hit period, notice I see do this, and it's coming from interface 2. All right. So the bottom line, for explicits to be able to access those methods, I have to basically reference it through the interface, and then I can set that equal to the object here that's pointing back to my class, and I'll be okay. Just do this and play with it. So now when I execute this, I should get a message box for do this for class 1 right here, and I should get a do this for 2 that will show interface 2 did this. So let's start and run. Click the button, and there's interface 1 do this called and interface 2 do this called. Now, I just kind of opened up a whole world for you there, although it may not feel like it right now. Go through this example, code on it, play with it, change it up, break it, fix it. Fix it's a Southern technical term. Get it working and play with it and get this implicit explicit thing, and especially get this process of calling the correct objects and methods here, and you'll get a little glimpse of the power that you have. Now, when we talk about, for example, I-comparable, I-enumerable interface implementations a little bit later on in the course, we'll talk about where this is coming into play there, and it's going to slowly enlarge your horizons here, okay? So that's a quick look at implicit and explicit interface implementation. I hope that helped.